The era of your school district treating your personal computer like a federal prison is officially coming to an end. The companies that built their entire business model on spying on little children are finally facing a reckoning that they cannot escape. For years, the conversation has been dominated by the surveillance state. We have ranted about Go Guardian, Lightspeed, Bark, and the dozens of other mandated spyware programs that schools force you to install under the guise of online safety. These apps log your keystrokes, watch your webcam, and track your location even when you're home on a Saturday night. We have seen stories of students getting flagged for suspicious activity just for performing a search for a history project. That's even happened to me once. And we have seen how these companies sell that data to third-party brokers who build a permanent digital profile on you before you are even old enough to vote. It has been a dark, frustrating era of the internet where the safety label was used to strip away every ounce of digital autonomy. But today, the news is actually good. For the first time in a decade, the legal tide has turned. Schools are being sued, privacy laws are being rewritten, and the mandated malware industry is absolutely panicking right now. Today, we're breaking down the massive reasons why school spyware is finally losing, and we're looking about the landmark legal cases that are banning this software, and the massive rebellions that are breaking the algorithms and making administrators think twice, and why the light at the end of the tunnel for digital privacy is finally starting to become visible. Let's start with the legal reckoning. For the last 10 years, school districts have operated in a total wild west of privacy. They essentially told students that if they wanted to use their network, or if they wanted a computer, or to use their own personal computers, they had to surrender every single right to privacy they possessed. For a long time, the courts let them, do this under the doctrine of in loco parentis, some Latin right there, which essentially means that the school acts as your parent while you are there. But in 2026, the game changed. We are seeing a massive surge in privacy litigation, specifically targeting the kernel level access that these apps require. Parents as well as civil rights groups are finally arguing that a school district does not have the legal authority to monitor a student's private home life or even things in school just because they have a school email address or a school computer or using a computer at school. There are landmark cases right now where the courts are ruling that 24/7 surveillance is a violation of the Fourth Amendment. They are finally realizing that if a school would not be allowed to put a physical camera in your bedroom, then they should not be allowed to put a digital one there via your school computer. New laws are hitting the books right now, like the 2026 Student Data Sovereign Act, that explicitly bans schools from tracking devices outside of school hours. This is like the silver bullet that is killing companies like GoGuardian and Lightspeed and those other tools. These companies rely on constant data harvesting. If they cannot track you 24/7, their data becomes less valuable to advertisers and also brokers that they sell them to. They're losing their product, which is you. The most satisfying part of all of this is that districts are actually starting to, get fined millions of dollars. When a school board realizes that keeping their spyware installed might cost them the entire annual budget in a class like a lawsuit and legal fees, they stop caring about the safety and start deleting the software overnight to save their own skin. They're finally realizing that the liability of spying is higher than the benefit of control. But the laws are only half the story here. The real reason the spyware is failing is because of the students. There's a massive decentralized movement or reckoning happening in middle schools as well as high schools across the country, the United States, and probably other countries as well. Students are becoming amateur cybersecurity experts just to reclaim their privacy. You have kids using virtual machines to isolate the spyware. Even I've done that with my friends before. Sandboxing their powers to prevent tracking and finding mass opt-out exploits that are rendering the tracking software completely useless. We also do this to, play bypass games, but that's not the point here. We have seen the rise of anti-filtering communities online, where students share open source code to neutralize these tracking extensions in seconds. This has created a massive problem for the spyware companies. Their entire selling point is total visibility, but when a bunch of a school student body finds a way to bypass that filter, the safety data the school receives becomes total noise and useless. The AI cannot tell who is actually at risk because the baseline data is corrupted by thousands of students using workarounds. The threat detection algorithms are literally having a meltdown because they cannot distinguish between a real problem and a student just trying to, protect their privacy or play a game. Like, games are not that deep. Schools are finally giving up because they cannot keep up with the pace of the internet. They are also realizing that they are in an arms race against a generation that grew up on the web and is increasingly tech literate. And schools are losing. Every time schools patch a bypass, 3 new ones appear on social media an hour later. They're spending more money on IT support and on blocking devices than they are on actual education. We're reaching the breaking point here, where the administrative cost of spying on students is higher than the perceived benefit. The security theater is finally closing its doors because the actors have stopped following the script and started, rewriting it. That's a wise quote right there. So, where does this leave us? Is the fight over? Not yet. But for the first time, the privacy trend is actually pointing upwards. We are seeing a human comeback where people are finally waking up to the fact that safety has almost always been used as a Trojan horse for control. We have seen the same thing happen with the whole AI slop era. People got tired of the fake, the automated, the monitored, and just not real, and they started craving something real, aka humanity. The massive success of content that calls out this corruption is just proof that the social consent for this, the surveillance, has been withdrawn. When 500,000 people, when millions of people, are protesting, watching content about banning schools, spyware, it sends a shockwave throughout the industry and also schools as well. Because I know my principal has watched one of those videos. It makes the investors in these companies nervous because they see that the next generation isn't just going to accept being tracked like dogs. We're moving towards a decentralized classroom of sorts. We're seeing a return to private, invite-only digital spaces where teachers and students can actually interact without a corporate algorithm logging every word for a future background check. We're seeing a push for dumb technology in school again, like actual paper, actual pens, and laptops that do not talk back to a server in Silicon Valley all the time. The dead internet era of school surveillance is ending, and it's being replaced by something more authentic, something human. It is a good day to be online. I want to hear from your own thoughts and about this opinion. Has your school recently changed its policy? I know my school has made some changes towards them. If you have anything to say, just let me know in the description. And the ironic thing is, all these benefits are happening to me right as I'm about to graduate. So yeah, that's I feel like schools always like to improve when you're about to graduate. But yeah, that's just all my thoughts. Have a good day, and I'll see you next time.